The voicemail doesn't start with a greeting, that it starts with breathing, uneven, shaky, like someone trying not to cry but failing. There's a faint rustling in the background, something metallic scraping, and then very quietly a voice that doesn't sound like it belongs to the woman everyone thought they knew. I didn't mean for it to go this far. There's a pause, a long one, long enough that you wonder if the message ended, and then, just before it cuts off, a second voice closer, sharper, hang up, now. The message ends there, no explanation, no callback. And by the time anyone listened to it, Nancy Guthrie was already gone. Nancy Guthrie was the kind of woman people trusted without question. She lived in a quiet neighborhood, the kind where nothing really happened, where doors were left unlocked during the day and neighbors waved from across the street, like it was still the early 2000s. She worked at a local insurance office, always on time, always polite, always predictable. But the thing about predictable people is that when they suddenly stop being predictable, it feels wrong in a way you can't quite explain. Nancy missed work one Monday, no call, no message. That alone was enough to make her coworkers uneasy. By Tuesday, her phone was going straight to voicemail. By Wednesday, her sister drove to her house and found the front door slightly open, not forced, just open. Inside, everything looked normal. To normal, the TV remote placed neatly on the coffee table, a mug in the sink, her shoes by the door. It looked like someone had stepped out for a minute and just never came back. Police didn't initially treat it as a crime. Adults disappear sometimes. They leave. They need space. They start over. That's what they said. But then they found Nancy's phone. It wasn't at home. It wasn't with her. It was discovered 2 blocks away, lying near a storm drain, screen cracked, but still functional. That's when things started to shift. Because on that phone was the voicemail. The one with the breathing. The one with the second voice. And suddenly, this wasn't just a missing person case anymore. It was something else. Something quieter. Something more controlled. Like whatever happened wasn't chaotic, it was intentional. Neighbors were interviewed, one by one. And at first, no one had anything useful to say. They all described Nancy the same way, kind, reserved, a little private, but nothing unusual. Until one neighbor hesitated. She mentioned something small, something that didn't seem important at first. A car, not Nancy's, a dark sedan that had been parked across the street a few nights before she disappeared. The engine was running, but no one ever got out. It stayed there for nearly an hour, and then just drove away. At the time, it didn't seem worth reporting. But now, with Nancy missing and that voicemail echoing in everyone's mind, it felt like a detail that shouldn't be ignored. Investigators pulled traffic cameras from nearby intersections. It took time, days of reviewing footage, frame by frame, watching cars pass like nothing mattered. And then they saw it. The same dark sedan. It appeared just before Nancy's phone stopped moving. The timestamps lined up too perfectly to ignore. The car turned onto her street, paused, and then disappeared from view. But there was something else, a second vehicle trailing behind, keeping distance, almost like it was watching the watcher. Nancy's financial records showed no signs of distress, no sudden withdrawals, no unusual purchases, no reason to believe she was planning to leave. But her email told a different story. Buried between newsletters and work messages was a thread short, almost forgettable, just a few exchanges with someone listed only as D. The messages weren't overtly suspicious, at least not at first glance, but one line stood out. You said no one would get hurt. Nancy's reply came minutes later. I thought I could control it. After that, silence. The investigation shifted toward D. But tracking them wasn't easy. The email account was created using fake information, routed through multiple servers, designed to disappear if anyone looked too closely. There was one mistake, a login from a local IP address. It led to a small office building, just outside Nancy's neighborhood. Inside, there were several businesses, nothing unusual, nothing that screamed danger, until they checked the security logs. One name appeared repeatedly, late entries, early exits, Daniel Reeves. Daniel didn't look like a criminal. He was soft-spoken, cooperative, almost too calm when questioned. He admitted to knowing Nancy, said they met through a community group, said they had conversations. But when asked about the emails, his story shifted. He said Nancy came to him first, that she needed help, that she was scared of someone she never named. And when investigators pressed further, Daniel leaned back, exhaled slowly, and said something that changed everything. She wasn't supposed to disappear. Daniel eventually agreed to show them something. A storage unit. Inside, there were boxers, files, photos, all neatly organized, too neatly, like someone had been preparing for this moment. And then, they found the recordings. Multiple audio files, different dates, different conversations. Nancy's voice was in all of them. But she didn't sound like a victim. She sounded involved. In one recording, she was giving instructions, calmly, clearly, talking about timing, about routes, about making sure someone wouldn't see it coming. It didn't make sense. Nancy Guthrie, the quiet, predictable woman, wasn't just caught in something. She was part of it. The biggest twist came from the final recording. It matched the voicemail, but it wasn't a voicemail. It was a full conversation cut down, edited, trimmed before being sent to her phone. In the original, Nancy wasn't scared. She was arguing. "You promised me this would end clean," she said, her voice tight with anger. And Daniel replied, cold and distant, "It would have, if you didn't change your mind." There was a struggle, a sharp noise, something falling. And then Nancy's voice, no longer controlled, no longer calm. "I didn't mean for it to go this far." The same line from the voicemail, but now, it meant something completely different. The truth, when it finally surfaced, wasn't simple. Nancy Guthrie had been planning something, not her own disappearance. Someone else's. She had been working with Daniel to stage an accident. A targeted one, carefully planned, quiet, untraceable. But at the last moment, Nancy backed out, and Daniel didn't. The dark sedan wasn't watching Nancy. It was part of the plan. And the second car, that was Nancy, trying to stop it, trying to undo what she had already set in motion. By the time she realized she couldn't, it was too late. Daniel silenced her, cleanly, efficiently, and then, he turned her own voice into a message, a fragment of truth, twisted just enough to hide the rest. They never found Nancy's body. Daniel was arrested, charged, convicted. But even now, years later, there's something about that voicemail that still unsettles people. Because when you listen closely, past the breathing, past the fear, you can hear something else. Not panic, not confusion, regret, not for what happened to her, but for what almost happened to someone else. And sometimes, the scariest part of a story isn't the crime itself, it's realizing the victim almost wasn't one.